and in certain urban centers, I think that we can easily accommodate the growth we want without threatening the single-family neighborhoods and without threatening the distinct neighborhoods that we have throughout this city that provide people a choice. The reality is the stuff we build in the future is not going to be single-family homes. It's not. We don't have land left to do that kind of stuff. Our growth is going to be accommodated by infill development and by redevelopment. And we are building so many new transit stops, rail stops. I think we have lots of opportunities to accommodate growth there. I think we have opportunities to accommodate it in communities that really want it. In some of the South LA communities, certainly in Hollywood, certainly in the downtown. I think we have plenty of opportunities to accommodate growth without destroying single-family neighborhoods.
Let me add one question before we go to the next stage. Environmental impact reports. This is something that we've been involved in for many years. Let's assume Ellen owned the Fashion Square. Fashion Square needs to do an environmental impact report to determine the effect of the proposed expansion. In many cities, Ellen would be required to write a check to the city would go out and hire a consultant, Rick Mayer, who would answer to the city to do this independent environmental impact report to determine the effects on the community of her expansion of the Fashion Square. That's not how LA handles it.
Absolutely.
LA says to Ellen, you go out and hire someone to do the impact study, okay? So Ellen, what are you concerned about? You're concerned about what? Number one?
Somebody who listens to me.
To you or to Ellen?
To Ellen, if I'm hiring.
Right. Someone who will come in with a report that minimizes the impact of the project, okay? Because if Ellen hires Jules to do the report and Jules comes back and says, well, you're going to do all these improvements, Jules is not going to get another job from Ellen. Okay. How do you think environmental reports should be handled? Should the developer be allowed to hire the consultant to do the project, or should the city oversee that process?
The city should oversee the process.
How do we get that implemented?
Well, I think that there already is a motion that has been made that has directed some investigation of that whole process. I think if we are going to have a credible process in the city, and if people are going to be able to depend on the information in the EIRs, I think that we have to look at ways to make it more credible and to build the trust. And so I think we're going to be looking at how that might work, what that might cost. I mean, I think we're talking about a lot more staff if you want to do that, if we're going to manage contracts, and so we're going to look at that whole thing and go back with a recommendation and a proposal. But I don't know how anybody could sort of disagree with that.
Well, I guess the city council in the past has disagreed with that, but from a planning point of view and from a community point of view, you're right. Yeah. How can you disagree?
Well, and I think, though, that in fairness, I don't think that there's been a real push for credible planning in a long time. And I think there is a push now for credible planning. And so it opens up a whole bunch of questions that suddenly are on the table. How do you create a credible planning process?
Well, with that, we thank you for coming out this evening. Thank you all for showing up. The 250 please clear the tables, and if you have any questions, Gail is looking forward to meeting with you personally. Thank you.